Welcome to California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Jesse Urquidi. He is the school board president of Norwalk-La Mirada Unified School District, and I thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I want to speak with you about bonds, facilities bonds. As we know in California, a bond can pass for educational purposes with 55% of the vote. That was correct. As a result of an initiative in 2000. So in your school district, Norwalk-La Mirada, there was a bond on the ballot in November. Talk to us about the process and what happened.
Well, the process basically comes down to you have to run an election campaign. We had a campaign committee comprised of some parents, some administrators, community members, and we had to basically campaign throughout the city, spread literature. A lot of the kids helped us at the local schools, high schools, the bike club, the football team, parents that are really involved want to see their schools get fixed, as they like to say it. And it came down to we won the election by a 58% margin. Not bad. Right.
Not bad. I mean, in most cases, that's a landslide.
Right.
But when you need 55%,
correct,
it's a little tight.
That's the benchmark.
Yeah, it's a little tight.
You have to get there. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about some of the sister districts in the area, Southeast Los Angeles County. You have Downey.
Correct.
They had a school bond on the ballot. You had the ABC district, Artesia, Bellflower, other communities. What happened in those two areas? And those were both unified school districts.
Correct. They're both unified. They're similar size to ours. Downey passed by 60%. They had full support of their teachers, and they had full support of their community as well. And then in ABC Unified, I can't necessarily speak to what happened. I know they did lose it by 60 to 40%. It was
the other way.
The other way.
So
correct.
Only 40% said yes.
That is correct.
That is remarkable because, as I understand it, sir, all of these districts are contiguous. You all touch at some point.
Yes.
And so it's crazy to me that, you know, from one community to the other, right next door, there could be a 20-point swing in favor or against a school bond.
Yeah. Well, what we did, for example, and I know ABC did it too, I can't recall if Downey did it as well, we developed a facilities master plan. So we were telling everybody what needs we had ahead of time, but we didn't want to necessarily prioritize things ahead of time as well, because, for example, people are going to want to see their school get fixed first, but the board right now, as we're going through, you have to make sure you touch enough students to get the 21st century experience into the classroom.
So I know you were a supporter of the bond initiative, and so I understand you're happy with the result. What can we expect now? The bond, the total bond was $375 million. That's a nice amount.
Yeah. Right now, it's more of a doesn't focus just on aesthetics. You know, new paint, new furniture. $60 million of that, over the 375, is for technology backbone. That's for, I mean, I don't know the detail of switches and Wi-Fi networks and things that can go into our schools, again, to bring the 21st century learning experience to our classroom. Which
is critical, and we're going to be speaking about Common Core and smarter balance tests, the assessments, which require more technology. We'll get there in a moment. What else?
Improving our athletic facilities. We're looking at a couple of field improvements at 2 of our high schools. We currently have a stadium at one school that needs revamping. We have to expand the gym of another one. There's also looking at performing arts centers in some of our schools. One thing that has come up, you know, to me is that I think we had talked about this before, that secretaries in our offices at some of our elementary schools, they don't have air conditioning.
I interviewed you on another program. Yes, to remind our viewers.
Yeah. And the secretaries and the administrators all have complained to me. And I've gone in there during the summer, fall months. It's really hot. The kids have air conditioning in the classrooms. They don't have air conditioning in the office or the NPR where they have a lot of assemblies.
This is, I mean, God bless those administrators and their secretaries. It feels very kind of 1950s.
It's not uncommon to see a principal wearing shorts to school sometimes because it's very hot.
So why do you believe that, at least in your school district, which is not insignificant in size, I mean, Norwalk-La Mirada, decent sized cities, what went right in terms of getting that bond passed when just next door it didn't happen by a long shot?
Right. I think what we did right, and this is just purely my opinion being involved in the campaign, we really let everybody know where their money was going. We really boiled it down to say, hey, this is what the board came up with. We called it a thermometer, okay? And we had $375 million, and there were chunks of different types of projects within that thermometer, okay? The very beginning, there was technology, $60 million. That was covered in blue. And then there was $20 million numbers. I don't use it as an exact factor, but
no.
it was play fields for $20 million,
sure.
you know, and then there was another $30 million for other things, science buildings and some other stuff. And then toward the top were some, like I said, football stadiums and other athletic improvements.
Were city leaders in favor, meaning Norwalk City Council, La Mirada City Council?
2 of the council members in Norwalk were supportive of it.
Okay.
One of them is by circumstance because he's a teacher in our school district.
Right.
The other, the mayor of Norwalk, he went to Norwalk High School, you know, big rival of mine because I went to John Glenn.
Of course,
okay.
which is in also Norwalk.
Right. Yeah. And in La Mirada, they were skeptical, but they didn't go against the process.
And so it was either for or no statement.
Right, no statement, yeah.
Let's go to Common Core if we may.
Sure.
Because Common Core, in some parts of our nation, has become controversial.
Yes.
I don't know that it's as controversial in California, but it really depends where you go in the state.
Right.
What are you hearing about Common Core in Norwalk-La Mirada,
right.
which in a lot of ways is a microcosm of California, because you have some really Anglo communities, predominantly Anglo. You have some nice pockets of Latino communities, some nice pockets of Asian communities. So ethnically, it's pretty diverse, like California.
Right. And also, just to let the audience know, I have a kindergartner in the system right now.
Okay, so you know.
So
who, by the way, is multi-ethnic.
Yes, yes. She's half Asian and half Latino.
Right,
so,
okay.
Really looking at it, and a lot of my friends are in the Kiwanis Club with me, their parents, and they have some reservations about how it's actually being, how it was thought to be put together, because you're going away from a state standard to now a national standard. Okay, so the consortium, the SBAC test, is on a national level.
That's a smarter balanced assessment.
Consortium, right? They're the ones putting it into SBAC, is like we like to say it, which requires a lot of technology to implement. Now, our teachers are going through a lot of professional development right now.
Right. How's that going?
It's going good because we have different coaches that are coming up with different curriculum. It's not perfect, you know, and we're very open to collaborating with the teachers on the ground level to, you know, where their concerns come back to say, well, we can do things better.
But when you speak to your parents, your stakeholders, your constituents, the way I try to describe Common Core when someone asks me, and I'm not an expert, but you know, I try to get the basics. What I try to say is, under the prior system, we can call it No Child Left Behind, the goal was to cover several topics, not so deep. Whereas with Common Core, it's fewer topics, but deeper. There are pluses and minuses to both. When someone has explained Common Core in that sense, and I believe most explain it that way, what's the feedback?
Well, again, it goes back to, like, for example, I just saw a test for third graders. And it broke it down into very, very analytical ways of putting together how much milk you're going to have. If you have 25 cups, you add 10, then after Johnny drinks 10 cups, how many more cups are you going to have left? You know,
it's not what's 25 minus 10.
Exactly. Like, for example, you know, as we know, when you and I went to school, it was all about repeating factual information. And one of the analogies I break down for people is, yes, we all knew a fireman wore a red helmet. Now the kid's going to know why he wore a red helmet.
I'm sure your daughter's going to do great. And why do I say that? She's in kindergarten. So she is growing up in a Common Core era. The kids in high school, they're almost done. It's the kids in junior high that I wonder how they manage this transition.
And then the later elementaries, fourth and fifth.
Talk to us.
That would be a benchmark to see how well the transition process goes through. In my opinion, I think you're going to see some pain through that transition process. I believe the kids right now, even up to high school, even in their early 20s, they have a grasp of technology more so than their parents do, and even
that we know for sure. And
that we
all
know for sure.
And all of us.
And our teachers are really good at grasping on the technology. They're very good at it, and they jump right into it, and they work with the kids. A lot of teachers right now are on Twitter, and that's how they get assignments to their kids.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, in the final analysis, has the transition been fairly smooth from Common Core or into Common Core?
Yeah, that's too early to tell at this point, in my opinion. I'd give it another 2 years, you know, just to see.
So you'll come back and tell us.
I could
hopefully before 2 years, but we'll talk to you in 2 years for sure. His name is Jesse Urquidi. He is the president of the Norwalk-La Mirada School Board. My name is Brad Pomerance. You're watching California Edition.